So this video today is going to be about 5 less common ideas to take better photographs. So the first one would be to make the effort. Get up early. Get out of your pit nice and early. Go out and make an effort to get somewhere, to be in the right place at the right time to get a good image. Or that could even be going out later at night. So after you've finished for the day, you've finished work, you've made dinner, you've put the kids to bed, you're knackered, go out in the evening. Take the camera, maybe take a prime, a fast prime, go out in the low light conditions. Easier in an urban area than it will be in the countryside. Shoot some artificial lighting. That's one of my favourite times to go out as well. Early in the morning. If you go out early in the morning, if you know it's going to be a cold night and it's going to be a sunny day, then there's a chance that you might get some fog or mist. So get out and then head to somewhere that's going to benefit the type of weather conditions you're looking for. So if it's going to be foggy or misty, get to somewhere that's undulating, that's got troughs and peaks, a river valley or something, so you can get through different levels of the mist. You can get above it, you can get right into it, you can shoot through it. I often find myself looking at the weather forecasts and looking at Google Maps in the days before or the evening before. And if I know it's going to be raining, if I think it's going to be misty, those are the times that I'm most excited about, because it's in those types of conditions that I can create the photographs that I like to create. So it's not just a case of going out at the right time. It's also an idea to try and marry the conditions that you think you're going to get with an area that you think will benefit from those conditions. 75% of any good photograph is having taken the time and effort to get to the right place at the right time. The other 25%, that's your choice of gear and your technical knowledge of how your camera works and how to expose properly. Your choice of gear is important. It doesn't have to be expensive gear. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about using the appropriate gear for the type of photograph you're looking to make. So as I said, if you're going to go out in the evening and shoot an artificial light on the streets, then you're going to want a faster lens, because it's going to make it easier to capture that detail without shooting with too high an ISO. So yeah, that's the first one. Make the effort. Get out when it's difficult, get out when it's inconvenient, and you'll start to reap the rewards for that. The second tip is, when you're out, slow down. Stop and look around. Look behind you. You'd be surprised at how often I've been out and I'm just trudging along, and I'll stop and I'll look behind myself, and there's just this fantastic shot that I would have completely ignored or just missed altogether. It happens so often. You just turn around. It's as simple as that. You might have to do some fine tuning. You might have to backtrack a little bit, but it happens so often that you find something that you would have otherwise have missed. I think that's maybe even more important when you're in an urban area. Generally speaking, I'm only going to go and shoot in an urban area if there's some strong shadows, because I find that's when I get the images that I like. But there's so much to see in an urban area, and every 50 yards that you walk, there's so much to see, and it's such a three-dimensional space. It's so vertical, and there's light and there's shadow and there's reflections and there's movement and there's texture everywhere. So you're going to miss most of the good opportunities when you're out in an urban environment. So it's probably even more important when you're there to stop and really take your time and really look around. The third option is to shoot subjects that you don't like. images, make images in settings that make you uncomfortable. Go to places you never thought you'd ever want to go to make photographs. If you can make an image in circumstances in an area that you've got really no interest in, if you can make a good image out of that, you're going to improve your skills. You're going to expose yourself to different situations that are going to require different technical skills, different apertures, different focal lengths, different shutter speeds, and that's going to improve your technical ability. And it's going to help you when you go back to shooting what you were previously more comfortable with. If you're into street photography, get out into the mud, and vice versa. Yeah, if you can make good images out of stuff you've got no interest in, you're going to improve your skills. And you may also find that you develop an interest in something that you were unaware of or didn't expect to like. You often find that you'll start taking an interest in different genres of photography once you start creating photographs that you admire in those genres. And you think, oh my Lord, look what I can do with this. And that awakens an interest for you to go back out and do it again. The fourth tip is to try taking photographs in new ways. So try different focal lengths, low angles, high angles, long exposures, intentional movement. I fooled around with intentional movement for a while, and one of the things it taught me was when you're doing intentional movement, in my opinion, something in the photograph still has to be identifiable. Some photographs where you can't identify anything, you look at it afterwards and you think, oh my Lord, that's what that was. That can work sometimes. Abstract can work. But I tended to find most of my photographs with intentional movement, I needed to be able to identify something in there. Then the rest of the photograph could work as just a counterbalance to make things symmetrical or asymmetrical, to create nice negative spaces, to bring texture or colour. And then I realised that I could take the lessons that I learned from that and incorporate it into the photographs I make when I'm using wide open apertures or just wide apertures and you're blurring out some of your image. The blurred area of the image, in my opinion, and the photographs that I make still has to work. It still has to earn its living. It has to have a reason to be in there. So you can create a beautiful close-up image of something, and in the background blur, I still want it to be doing something, whether it's just creating a contrast. There's nothing there and it's negative space and it's creating a contrast with your subject, or whether it's creating a contrast in another way. It's bringing in light where it was dark or dark where it was light. It's bringing in texture. It's bringing in colour. It's bringing in rough form. And I learned that lesson for my blurred backgrounds from my intentional movements shooting. So it's something that's worth doing. And also all these other ideas, such as different focal lengths, long exposures, different angles, all of those things will help you to learn and to improve in ways that maybe you weren't aware that needed to happen previously. And the fifth and final tip is just to delay the edit. Don't edit your photos the same days that you've taken them. I did build up a backlog of work, so I'm usually editing about between 3 and 6 weeks after I take the photographs. So build up a little catalogue and then start editing. The reason for that is you often become emotionally invested in the photographs you take on the day. And you have an idea of what was good and what wasn't good. And if you go to edit with those ideas still in your mind, you'll find that you automatically disregard some photographs and you favour others. And I discovered I was doing this when I would go back through my library on Lightroom and I look at stuff I'd taken and decided not to edit, maybe many weeks, months, or a long time ago. I'm thinking, well, what didn't I like about that at the time? And it could just be that on the day that you go out, you've got a set idea of what you want to do, and anything that doesn't fall into that idea, you're disregarding. And the good photos that you've taken, or the ones you think are good on the day, you have that idea of them because that's what you set out to capture in the first place. And you're just disregarding everything else. So it's good to go back and look at it a long time after. You come at it with a fresh mind. And like I said, you've got no emotional investment in it. So try and separate the time between when you take a picture and when you edit a picture. And you'll find that you probably have more keepers that way. You'll disregard things less quickly. Build up your catalogue. Give yourself a good gap of 3+ weeks. And make sure that you're removing the photographs that you're editing on that day are photographs sometimes you won't even remember taking. And I find that's the best way to come at them. Photographs that surprise you, photographs that you can't remember. You might remember some of them, but it's good to come into it with a fresh mind, no prejudices. And I really do find when I do that, I have more photographs that I'm satisfied with. I mean, I still have, my hit rate is quite low. I maybe go out, I take far less photographs now than I used to. I think taking lots of photographs when you go out is a phase you have to go through because it's one of the ways you improve. But I think as you do improve and you understand what you like and you focus your time to certain conditions in certain areas and you're aware of what the gear you have is capable of doing and what you want it to do, and you tailor your purchases towards that, etc., you'll start shooting less photographs. You'll be more focused in what you do, but then it's still worth putting that separation between what you've taken that day and when you're going to sit down in front of your editing software of choice and look at it and come at it with a fresh mind. And I think you will find that even if you take less photographs, you maybe get a few more keepers if you work that way. Well, that's it. That's 5, hopefully 5 lesser known or 5 tips you've not heard quite so often. If you like it and you like what you've heard, then stick a thumbs up. And then also down in the comments, let me know if you've got any tips, what you find helps, and what you think of my suggestions.